You are standing on the first tee. Your hands are wrapped tight around the grip. Your shoulders are creeping up toward your ears. And before you even move the club back, you already feel it, that stiffness, that grip of tension that turns a swing into a struggle. I know that feeling. I lived inside it for years. And here is what I finally learned. The reason your swing feels tight and short and painful is almost never your age. It is tension, and tension is a habit you can unlearn in an afternoon. Our fathers and grandfathers knew this. They swung smooth and easy well into their 80s, on bad knees and stiff backs, because they were taught a way of swinging that has quietly slipped out of the modern game. I am going to show you exactly what a one-legged golfer discovered back in 1916 that let him shoot in the 70s with half a body. It cost you nothing. You do not need a gym, a trainer, or a single new club. You can feel the difference this weekend, in your own living room, standing on the same old carpet you already own. Let me tell you when it hit me. I was 68, playing the 9th hole at a little municipal course outside of town, and a man who looked well past 80 stepped up beside me and made the softest, slowest swing I ever saw. The ball just sailed. I hit next, and I nearly fell over from swinging so hard. That was the day I knew I had it all backward. For most of my life, I believed that a good golf swing was something you muscled into being. I thought power came from effort. I thought if I gripped harder and swung faster and tried harder, the ball would go farther. That belief cost me more than I can tell you. It cost me sore wrists that ached every night. It cost me a lower back that seized up on cold mornings. And worst of all, it slowly cost me the game I loved, because every round hurt a little more than the last. I want you to picture your own hands on the club right now. Go ahead and imagine it. If you are like the man I used to be, you are squeezing that grip like you are trying to strangle it. You are holding on for dear life, as if the club might fly out of your hands and hurt somebody. That death grip feels safe. It feels like control, but it is the single biggest thief of distance and freedom in your entire swing, and almost nobody over the age of 70 has been told the truth about it. Here is the truth. Every ounce of extra squeeze in your hands travels straight up your arms and locks your wrists, your forearms, your elbows, and your shoulders. A locked joint cannot move fast. A locked joint cannot release. When your wrists are frozen stiff, the club head cannot whip through the ball the way it was designed to. So the harder you grip, the shorter and weaker your shot becomes. You are working twice as hard for half the result, and your body is paying the bill in soreness the next morning. Now think about how strange that is. The thing that feels like effort is actually stealing your power. The thing that feels like control is actually robbing you of it. I spent decades never questioning it, because it just seemed obvious that trying harder should work better. That is the trap. And I want you to understand that this trap did not appear by accident. But before I get into who benefited from you forgetting the easy way, let me first give you the picture of what the easy way even looks like, because you cannot fight for something until you have felt it. There was a golf teacher named Ernest Jones. Remember that name, because he is the quiet hero of this whole story. Ernest Jones was an Englishman, a fine young professional golfer with a bright future ahead of him. Then came the First World War. In 1916, in the trenches of France, a grenade exploded near him and cost him his right leg below the knee. He was a golfer with one leg. Most people would have said his playing days were finished for good. But here is the part that stops me cold every time I think about it. Just a few months after losing his leg, while he was still learning to stand on a wooden peg, Ernest Jones went out and played 18 holes. He balanced on one leg, and he shot an 83. Not long after, on one leg, he broke into the 70s. A man with half the body I have, scoring better than most weekend players I know with two good legs. Now, how on earth is that possible? He could not use his legs to power the swing. He could not shift his weight the way we are all told to. He could not push off the ground. He had almost nothing left except his hands and a smooth, easy motion. And that, right there, is the discovery. Ernest Jones realized that the real golf swing does not come from muscle and effort and grinding force. It comes from swinging the clubhead freely, lightly, like a weight on the end of a string. He spent the rest of his life teaching exactly that. He moved to the United States in the 1920s and set up a teaching studio right in the middle of New York City, up on Fifth Avenue, indoors, where thousands of ordinary people came to learn. He taught men, women, children, and plenty of older folks with stiff joints just like ours. And over the same thing happened. The moment they stopped fighting the club and started swinging it, the tension melted and the ball flew farther with less effort than ever before. He wrote his ideas down. His teachings were captured in a book called Swinging into Golf back in 1937, and later in an even more famous little book titled Swing the Clubhead in 1952. These are not myths. These are printed, dated records of a man who proved with one leg that tension is the enemy and ease is the answer. I have read them, and what is written in those pages is the very thing that saved my golf and my shoulders and my joy in the game. So here is my honest question to you. If a one-legged man could learn to swing free and shoot in the 70s more than 100 years ago, why are you and I standing on the tee with two working legs, squeezing the life out of the club and wondering why everything hurts? The answer to that is where this story takes a turn, and I need you to stay with me, because now we get to the part nobody wants to talk about. Somewhere along the way, the simple truth that Ernest Jones taught got buried, and it did not get buried by accident. Think about it for a moment. There is no money in telling an older golfer, hold the club lighter and swing easy and you will feel better tomorrow. Nobody can sell you that. You cannot put ease in a box and charge $99 for it, but there is a whole world of money in the opposite message. There is money in telling you that your problem is your equipment, that you need a new driver with a bigger head every single year, that you need a special shaft, a special grip, a launch monitor, a series of expensive lessons, and a gym membership to build the very power that Ernest Jones proved you never needed in the first place. The modern golf world makes its living convincing you that the answer is something you have to buy, when the real answer is something you already own. I fell for all of it. I want to be honest with you about that, because I do not want you to feel foolish for falling for it too. Over the years, I bought driver after driver, each one promising 20 more yards. I bought the training aids advertised late at night. I paid for lessons where a young fellow told me to turn my hips faster and load my weight harder and swing out of my shoes. And every single one of those things added more tension, not less. Every one of them made me grip tighter and try harder and hurt worse. I was spending money to make my own swing worse, and I never once suspected it. The oldest golf instruction, the kind our grandfathers grew up on, was built around feel and rhythm and ease. Somewhere in the last 50 or 60 years, as the equipment business grew into a giant, the message quietly flipped. It stopped being about swinging the club and started being about how much you could buy and how hard you could work. And the ones who paid the highest price for that flip are folks like you and me, because we are the ones whose bodies cannot take the pounding anymore. So let me pull you back from all of that noise and hand you the real thing. Here is the first piece you can use, and you can use it on your very next swing. It is your grip pressure. This is the foundation of everything Ernest Jones taught, and it is the fastest fix I know. I want you to imagine that your grip pressure runs on a scale from 1 to 10. A 1 is barely holding the club at all. A 10 is squeezing with everything you have, knuckles white, forearms bulging. Most older players I meet are gripping at an 8, a 9, sometimes a full 10 without even knowing it. You want to be at about a 3, maybe a 4. Light, soft. There is an old saying that came down through generations of golfers, and it goes like this. Hold the club as if you were holding a small bird in your hands, tight enough that it cannot fly away, soft enough that you do not crush it. Some of the old teachers said to hold it like an open tube of toothpaste, grip just firmly enough that none of the toothpaste squeezes out the top. When you soften your hands to a 3, something almost magical happens up the chain. Your wrists unlock, your forearms relax, your elbows soften, your shoulders drop down away from your ears where they belong, and suddenly the club head can swing. It can build speed on its own, the way a pendulum builds speed, without you forcing a thing. The very first time I truly softened my grip, my playing partner asked me what new driver I had bought, because the ball jumped off the face like it never had before. Picture your own hands on that grip right now, easing down from a strangling 10 to a soft, easy 3, and feel your shoulders finally drop away from your ears. That single change is the whole reason I put everything Ernest Jones taught into plain, senior-friendly pages you can hold in your hand. It is called the Senior Golf System, and it starts with First Tee, the body-first foundation for older golfers, showing you the grip pressure and type tested on real senior hands, plus the driver setup secrets most players your age were never told. If you want the full picture, the complete collection carries you all the way through Swing Deeper, where you unlock clubhead speed that is not gone after 65 and learn every driver adjustment that adds yards without the strain that leaves you aching the next morning. And here is a free test you can run tonight in your own living room, no course and no cost. Grip an old club at your usual death grip, then at a soft 3, and just feel how much farther and freer the clubhead wants to swing on its own. This was written for your body, not a 30-year-old's. And there are more than 500 pages of real content, so you can check that claim for yourself. The fastest way to get the books is to scan the QR code right there on your screen, or go to the link in the description or the pinned comment. These are not myths, and they are not tricks that expire. A soft grip works the same today as it did 100 years ago, so you lose nothing by starting now. But softening your hands is only half the story, because tension has a way of sneaking right back in the moment you start the club down. I had not bought anything. I had just stopped strangling the club. Now here is where I have to be straight with you, because a soft grip alone is not the whole answer. If you loosen your hands but your mind is still shouting, hit it hard, the tension will come flooding right back the instant you start the club down. Tension does not live only in your hands. It lives in your head first. And that brings me to the next layer. The one that separates the golfers who stay smooth into their 80s from the ones who quit the game in pain. I want to talk about the waggle and the breath, two forgotten little habits that the old-timers did without even thinking about it. Watch old footage of the great players from the 1930s, 40s, and 50s, and you will see almost every one of them gently waggling the clubhead back and forth before they swung. Little soft motions of the hands and wrists, keeping everything loose and alive. That waggle was not a nervous tick. It was a deliberate way of keeping tension from creeping in during that dangerous frozen moment right before the swing begins. When you stand dead still over the ball for too long, your muscles tighten up like a clenched fist. The waggle keeps the river flowing so it never freezes. And the breath. This is so simple you will want to skip past it, but please do not, because it may be the most important thing I say all day. When we get tense, we hold our breath. Watch yourself on the next tee and you will catch it. You take the club back with your lungs locked and your chest tight, and a locked chest means locked shoulders, and locked shoulders means a short, jerky, painful swing. Here is what the smooth old players did instead, whether they knew they were doing it or not. Take one slow breath in as you settle over the ball. Then let a soft, quiet breath out just as you begin to take the club back. Breathing out relaxes you. It lowers your shoulders. It slows your tempo. It is impossible to be tense and exhale slowly at the same time. Your body simply will not allow it. That one breath, timed with the start of your swing, can take 5 years off how your body feels after a round. Now, I know what some of you are thinking right about now. You are thinking, that is fine for a fellow with a nice club membership and a big backyard and money to spare, but I am on a fixed income. I do not have a fancy course. Maybe I do not even have a car to get to a range. Maybe I am in a small apartment and my knees are not what they were. I want you to lean in close, because this next part is built for you especially. Everything I am about to tell you costs nothing. It needs no course, no range, no partner, no special tool, and barely any space. If you can stand up in your living room and reach your arms out without hitting a lamp, you have everything you need. This is exactly how Ernest Jones taught thousands of people, indoors, in a small studio in the middle of a city, with no golf course anywhere in sight. Here is your first free drill, and you can do it right now, today. Take any old club you have, even a broken one, even a broomstick if that is all you have got. Hold it out in front of you with that soft, light 3 out of 10 grip. Now, without swinging at any ball, just let the club head swing back and forth in front of you, slow and easy, like the pendulum on an old grandfather clock. Tick, tock, back and through. Feel the weight of the club head pulling gently at your relaxed hands. Do not lift it. Do not force it. Let it swing itself and just go along for the ride. Do that for 2 minutes a day, and you are training your body to feel what a free, tension-free swing actually is. You are teaching your hands to stay soft and your wrists to stay loose. You are doing it in your slippers, in your own home, for free, with something you already own. No gym, no membership, no young fellow charging you $60 an hour to make you grip tighter. Here's a second one for the folks with a small budget and a small space. Sit in a sturdy chair, hold a club, or even just clasp your hands together as if they were on a grip. Now simply practice softening your grip pressure from a 10 down to a 3, over and over. Squeeze to a 10. Feel that awful tension shoot up your arms into your shoulders. Now let it melt down to a 3, and feel the relief flood through your forearms. 10, 3, 10, 3. You are teaching your nervous system the difference between the way that hurts and the way that heals. That is worth more than any gadget sold on television, and it costs you not 1 penny. And if you cannot even stand for long, you can still do the breathing. Sit in your chair. Imagine standing over a ball. Take that slow breath in and let it out soft and long as you picture the club moving back. You are rehearsing calm. You are building a new habit in a body that has spent years building the wrong one. Age does not disqualify you from any of this. In fact, it makes it work better, because a relaxed swing is exactly the kind of swing a mature body was made for. Now I have given you the soft grip, the waggle, the breath, and 2 free drills you can do at home. Any one of them will help you. But I promised you something at the very start, something specific that a one-legged man discovered in 1916, and I am a man of my word. Because there is one drill above all the others that Ernest Jones used to unlock the free swing in even the stiffest, most tension-filled student who ever walked into his studio. And once you feel it, you can never unfeel it. It rewires everything. Here it is. This is the secret, straight out of the pages of his teachings, the one that separates the people who golf smooth into old age from everyone else. Ernest Jones would take an ordinary gentleman's pocket knife, a little folding jackknife, and he would tie it to the corner of a common cotton handkerchief. Just a knife and a hanky, the kind of things every man used to carry in his pocket. Then he would hold the loose end of that handkerchief between his thumb and finger, letting the knife dangle at the bottom like a weight on a string, and he would swing it gently back and forth. Now here is the whole lesson in that one simple object, and I want you to really hear it. That handkerchief is soft, it is limp, it has no stiffness in it at all. The only way, the only possible way, to make that knife swing in a smooth, wide, powerful arc is to move your hand gently and let the weight do the work. The instant you try to force it, the instant you jerk it or muscle it or grip it tight and yank, the handkerchief buckles, it collapses, the knife wobbles and dies, and the whole thing falls apart. That handkerchief cannot lie to you. It physically will not let you use tension. It forces you, whether you like it or not, to swing the weight instead of fighting it. And that, right there, is the entire golf swing. Your relaxed arms are the handkerchief. The club head is the knife. The moment you tighten up and try to force it, you buckle, just like the hanky, and the swing dies. The moment you relax and let the weight swing, you get a smooth, wide, effortless arc that sends the ball farther than force ever could. You do not even need a knife. Please do not go tying knives to things if it makes you nervous. Take a small hand towel or a handkerchief and tie a knot in the bottom corner. A good tight knot, or tie a couple of keys into it, something with a little weight. Hold the top, let the weight hang, and swing it back and forth in front of you. Feel how it only flows when your hand is soft and easy. Feel how it collapses the second you get tense or greedy. Do that for 3 or 4 minutes, and then pick up your club and make a swing. I promise you, your body will remember the feeling of the handkerchief, and for the first time in years, you will swing the club head instead of fighting it. This is the thing that a man with one leg figured out over 100 years ago because he had no other choice. He could not rely on brute strength, so he was forced to discover the truth that the rest of us, with our 2 good legs and our expensive drivers, spent our whole lives missing. The knowledge was there all along. It was written down in 1937 and again in 1952. It was taught to thousands of ordinary people on Fifth Avenue, and then it got quietly pushed aside, buried under a mountain of things somebody wanted to sell us, until most golfers your age and mine never heard it even once. But you have it now. It lived on in those old books, kept alive by a handful of teachers who never let it die, and today it passed to you, across this kitchen table, from one person who learned it the hard way to another who still has time to learn it the easy way. I think about that man who lost his leg in the mud of France, standing on a wooden peg, swinging a knife on a handkerchief, and shooting scores I could only dream of. And I think about how simple the gift he left us really is. Not more effort, not more money, not a younger body, just less tension, a softer hold, a slower breath, and the courage to trust the weight of the club to do what it was built to do. You did not lose your golf swing to age. You lost it to tension, and to a world that made good money teaching you to hold on tighter. Today you took it back. That soft, free, easy swing that our grandfathers had is not gone. It was just waiting for someone to hand it back to you, and now someone has. You are the kind of person who would rather trust plain, hard-won common sense than a shiny promise on a store shelf. You always were. That is exactly why this is going to work for you when all the gadgets never did. Now I want to hear from you. When you tried the handkerchief drill or when you softened your grip down to that 3 out of 10, did you feel the club head come alive in a way it has not in years? Tell me in the comments below. I read them and I want to know. Type it out and let me know if your shoulders finally dropped down where they belong. And while you are there, tell me where in the world you are watching from, because I love knowing who is sitting across this table with me. If you believe like I do that the best answers were figured out long before they started selling them back to us, then come along with me. Join the folks here who are quietly reclaiming the practical wisdom our parents and grandparents used every single day. Subscribe and stay with us, because next time I am going to show you the forgotten putting method from the old days that cured the shakes and the yips for players well into their 90s, using nothing but a coin and a kitchen table. You will not want to miss what that coin can teach you. I will see you there. Before you go, one thing. This video showed why tension steals your swing. Inside my membership, the Wiser Living Circle, I walk you through the full Ernest Jones method, drill by drill, and you can ask me your own question. A real person, me, answers you myself. You'd be joining thousands of practical seniors just like you. Just point your phone's camera at the code on screen, and you can cancel anytime. Now that your swing feels loose and easy, let me show you something for your putting. This next one is right here, and once you try it, you may never need another putting lesson again.